YouTube, what is going on? My name is Jonathan Silber, one of the hosts of the podcast Backseat Banter. I am joined with my co-hosts Sam Kruchikov, Ben Holkman, and Brandon Holkman. In today's installment of Backseat Banter, we are going to be coming at you guys with an episode uh, that we are going to be discussing about mock drafts for your fantasy basketball league, and we are going to get you guys ready to go for standard head-to-head matchups, not 9 category. And we're going to do an 8-man draft because that is how our league is set up. But before we get into it, we have, as you guys can see on the screen, 9 minutes left before our draft. YouTube, we are going to come at you guys with who our number one overall pick should be. I'm going to start this off, guys. So personally, in our draft that we're going to have off camera, I have the number one overall pick, and I've been going back and forth battling myself in my mind about who I should be taking here. It's kind of a difficult selection for me because there are so many great players. The top 5 really is all interchangeable in my mind. So I started with Harden, but there's way too many question marks with him. And then I looked over at the back-to-back reigning MVP, and I said, hey, I'm probably going to select this guy because he's just consistent. He plays power forward and center on Yahoo formats. So you don't really get great centers in this fantasy format other than really him and Cat, maybe Embiid in the conversation as well. So that's the reason I'm leaning towards Giannis, but really it's interchangeable with how you want to build your team with the top 5 players. I mean, Luka Doncic can go 1 and I wouldn't be surprised. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have you're not limited in your options at number one because there's so many guys that are all deserving of that pick. However, I do kind of have to agree that the back-to-back MVP should be at the top of everyone's list in terms of looking out for him because he's proven it. He can be an MVP level player 2 years in a row now. He is in that hard to find center spot that he can fill, even though he never really plays center in the NBA. You can put him in at center in fantasy, which is a big plus. There's only like 5 center eligible players that are really dominant in the NBA right now for fantasy purposes, of course. And Giannis is one of them. So yes, you could go for Luka, you could go for Harden, but there's so many shooting guards, small forwards in the NBA that you can take to fill in those spots that are good enough where you'll get good production, but it's going to be really hard to find a good center come round 4 or 5 to
What are
fill
you
that spot for you.
What are your thoughts, Ben? Because personally, there's also another really good center that I could see going number one overall in Karl Anthony Towns, who's probably one of the most consistent fantasy players out there. Is it outlandish to think of taking Cat with your number one overall pick, or are you going to stick to your guns and take one of these top guaranteed guys?
No, it's not really outlandish, especially because Karl Anthony Towns has gotten a lot more help in this offseason. I think that maybe D'Lo takes away from it a little bit, but I don't know if really that'll impact him as much as it could. But I will say, maybe even in Anthony Davis, I know his role probably will diminish a little bit because they did get a lot of centers. The Lakers did get a lot of centers in the offseason. But he could definitely be number one. I think there's a lot of different players. I know centers are probably the most important because there's not that many that give you a lot of points. Nikola Jokic as well, just because of his passing ability, is able to probably rack up a lot of double doubles and triple doubles. It
Would
seems
you
like.
take any number one overall there?
Would you take who?
Nikola Jokic or Karl Anthony Towns?
Uh, it depends. Look, I'd probably still stick with my guns and go Giannis,
Okay.
just because he does have a little bit more help. It seems like in his starting 5. But I wouldn't be surprised if someone like a Nikola Jokic goes a little bit high in this draft. Someone like a Cat goes in the top 4. He's been very consistent in fantasy, even if now the consistency might come into question because they do have a lot more pieces around him. But uh, I do think that Giannis probably still is the consensus if it wasn't for the question marks around Harden.
Great. Brandon, what are your thoughts on the number one overall kind of conundrum that we're falling into where there is no consensus and you can just choose who you like. I mean, you briefly mentioned in another podcast that Giannis was kind of a no-brainer for you, but Yahoo has him ranked 6th, I believe, maybe even lower than that. So what are your thoughts on that? And are you comfortable taking Giannis number 1?
Yeah, I mean, after he just signed a massive extension, I would also feel comfortable just knowing the fact that he's, the fact that he's not worrying about a contract situation after this. I mean, he wasn't going to worry, but I'm sure being asked by reporters where he's going to go every single day if he didn't sign that contract extension or something didn't happen. Yeah, I'm sure that's gonna help a little bit, but I've always been, if you as long as Giannis is on the floor, he's gonna dominate in the regular season. Obviously, our season doesn't extend into the playoffs, so like you're not gonna worry about Giannis in the playoffs. But during the regular season, that's why he's a back-to-back MVP. He's been dominant, and he can easily get you triple doubles in so many other fashions besides just scoring. Like his passing has gone like his ball handling has gone up, his facilitating has gone up. I mean, again, just a defensive monster, being able to block and rebound. We talked about the scoring. I would still feel comfortable taking him at number 1, especially if maybe he gets the eligibility later down the road as a small forward. So now you have a small forward, power forward, center. And then you brought up some other centers, Anthony Davis and Jokic. While I like those two, they're not number 1. I don't feel like they're number 1 options scoring wise, and that's what really matters in fantasy is scoring. So Giannis for me.
So I got a question about Giannis, because you guys were talking about the contract, and I don't think Giannis is that type of dude, but we've seen a lot of players play their best the year before they sign their contract.
Yeah.
It seems a lot of guys.
Hassan Whiteside.
I mean, that's the most prominent, but it happens across the league, even with superstar players who don't fall off that hard. We do know that contract years are usually the best time to get a player in a fantasy sport, because that's when they're working their hardest to make their money. Now Giannis is inked for 5 years. No one's taking that money away. He could get injured. He could have blood clots in his lungs, a la Chris Bosh. He's going to get paid the full amount no matter what happens. This isn't like football where the money's not guaranteed. He's making the full $220 million no matter what happens.
Yeah.
So are they going to be more cautious with their superstar? Maybe load management in a shortened season?
Nah, I mean, maybe because we maybe saw that. We're maybe going to see that with the 2 LA teams as a possibility. But in terms of load management, I mean, Giannis is a competitor. I'm pretty sure he's going to try to play if it's 82 games, it's probably
72.
not going. It's all right, so all 72 games this season. He wants to be out there on the court no matter what. Like, and I'm sure Mike Budenholzer knows that. And also, statistically,
Budenholzer's on the hot seat too, so he might be trying to get Giannis to make him look nicer.
And you also look at the plus minuses of when Giannis is on the court and when he isn't. There's a significant impact on when he's not on the court, and that offense isn't as great as when he's on the court.
Yep.
So there's an argument to be made that Giannis should play every game, not all
100%.
48 minutes, but like he should be playing every game. And yes, all right, you play again. Yes, he'll get rest during blowout wins, which there will be. Like you play the Knicks a few times this season, like you'll be okay.
Yeah. You made some really good points, Brandon. We are getting ready to enter the draft, but we are going to end this little YouTube exclusive that you guys are seeing on the live, but we're going to upload it as a YouTube video as well. Only on YouTube. We're going to cut it from the podcast so you guys get some exclusive content coming out of our live. So if you are watching this on the YouTube exclusive video, please make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. We hope you guys check out our actual mock draft that is also going to be on our channel. So make sure to go check that out and stay tuned for more. Click that bell. See you in the mock draft. So guys.